Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashid. I am 8 years old. This is my friend Laith Masood. I am happy to be here and welcome you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laith, and I am 9 years old, and I want to welcome everyone.
Today we have with us Dr. Rajeev Thomas, who is joining us from Chennai, India. Rajeev's uncle used to work in Qatar and other parts of the Middle East for over 25 years.
A few years ago, he decided he wanted to spend more time working with youth, teenagers, and children, helping them to be their best and to be happier and successful people.
He has spoken to thousands of children in different parts of the world, and today we are very happy to have him with us.
Rajeev uncle will be sharing some meaningful stories with us as he talks to us about the 7 habits of happy kids.
So get ready for the most exciting journey that will help us learn how to be happier kids.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful session. Could everybody who's not speaking keep your mics on mute so that you can all hear clearly? Otherwise, there will be a lot of disturbance, and today's session is mostly going to be storytelling. I'm going to tell you a lot of stories, and in each story, there's going to be one special habit. You're all here to attend this program that is titled The 7 Habits of Happy Kids. So for understanding the habits, I'm going to give you a story each for each of the habits. So if all your mics are switched on, it's going to be pretty difficult for everyone to hear. And at any stage, if you cannot hear what I'm saying, and if it's not clear, there is an option. You ask your parents if they're around you, or if you know how to do it yourselves. You can always send a short chat message, and Aisha ma'am, who is monitoring and she's coordinating this entire program for us today, will make sure that she will inform me and we can do something about it. Okay, because as Light and Rashid introduced a few minutes ago, thank you very much to both of you for an excellent introduction. Okay, and it was amazing to hear what you said. And I'm sitting here way far away from you in India, in a town called Chennai, which is at the southernmost tip of India. And I'm so thrilled to see that we have over 71 participants at present, and you're tuned in from around the world and from different parts of the world. I have attendees. In fact, I heard during the introduction somebody say that they are tuning in from Yambu in Saudi Arabia. And we have participants from Doha, Qatar. We have from India. We have people from all over the world who are tuning in at present. So it's a lot of children here at the same time. So I really look forward to giving you some interesting stories and activities. And as in any stories, there will be some questions for you. So as and when there are some questions that are coming up, Aisha ma'am will try to unmute us so that you will be able to answer those questions. Okay, so when I say we are going to have some questions now, so be prepared. There will be a few questions. It's related to the story. So it's nothing that is related to your subjects or is related to your classes that you're studying in or anything. It's related to the story that I'm going to talk to you about. So it's important for you to listen to the story completely so that you can understand what I'm saying and also understand what the story is telling you and what's the message in the story for each one of you, right? So another thing I wanted to tell you is that it will be wonderful. It will be really wonderful for all of us if you keep your video switched on, because I see that a lot of our attendees today have their video switched off, but there are a lot of wonderful, beautiful children out over here who have their video switched on also. So it will be nice for me to also look at your faces and see your expressions and tell you the story so that it is connecting directly with you rather than me sitting in a room talking to my computer screen. Yeah, so if you can turn your cameras on, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in a room and it's dark and if there is no background and if there are other people in the room, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so if you're comfortable and if your parents are comfortable with it, please switch on your camera so that we can see all of you, and it becomes a very personal experience where I'm sitting in front of you and telling you a story and you're seeing what I'm telling you and walking through the story, and we can experience this together. Okay, and something else I wanted to remind you and remind the parents also who are listening in at the moment is that I've been informed that for all the children who are attending till the very end, okay, and listening and participating and answering questions and making it an interactive program, you will also be receiving certificates. Okay, so your details are already with Aisha ma'am. So she will be giving you certificates for all the children who remain till the end of the program. Wouldn't you like to have some certificates also? Because you know, spending the
Yes.
next, yeah, absolutely. So you're going to spend some time together and learn, and at the same time take away something at the end of it. Okay, so I don't think you need to take any notes or anything, because the message that comes in the story is very easy to understand. It's very easy to remember also. Okay, so let's get on with the story. Shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
right.
sir. Over here, since when we ask questions, so we would like to ask the questions again.
Okay, let's Rashid go for
Go
it.
for it. What's any of your hobbies?
Oh, my hobbies. Okay, okay. I'll give you a small story on that also. You know, I was working in many parts of the world. In fact, when somebody said Yambu, Saudi Arabia, I was so happy because I was working in Yambu, Saudi Arabia also. And I was working in Doha, I worked in India. So I've been around the place. So I've been moving around, working in many companies. There's a lot of hobbies that I had at different stages of life. Okay. So when you're a child, some of your hobbies might be there, which could include playing cricket for me, and a lot of music, playing with my friends, reading stories. Being a naughty kid in class was also a hobby for me. Yeah. And yeah, so that's the hobbies that I had when I was a very small kid, about your age. And then when I went to college, the hobbies changed, obviously. I had more different hobbies, which are more related to study, watching movies, going out with friends, hanging around, having a fun. And then when I went to work, the hobbies changed slightly. And then when I had my own children, the hobbies started changing again. So whatever hobbies you have at present could change as you go through different stages of life. Yeah. So so there's not a single hobby that I can say is my hobby. But what I enjoy most at present is to talk with children like you, and with the teenagers, and with the young people, you know. So and to share my experience of life, and what I've learned throughout life, and how each one of you can use some of these learnings to make yourself happier and make yourself more successful in life. So this is my hobby at present. And I do a lot of work for companies also. I do a lot of training programs for them also. I do coaching activities for children and for teenagers. So that's kind of my work come hobby at present, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah. So does that answer your question, Rashid and Laith?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. Right. So we're going to talk today about the 7 habits of happy kids. Okay. And we'll start now with a small story of a child called Sammy. Right. So you see this kid on the screen. His name is Sammy. So once upon a time, Sammy was feeling very bored. He was sitting at home and he was feeling absolutely bored. Okay. And so he wanted to meet his friends, and he went out and started looking for them in their houses. And then they found that all his friends were busy with their own activities. Some of them were cooking, like some of you, and some of them were playing football, and some of them were doing other things. But he was feeling really sad that nobody wanted to play with him. And so what he did, he moved and went over to his friend Ali's house. And he went to Ali's house, and where he saw Ali's grandmother. Okay, so Ali's grandmother was sitting at the door, and when she saw Sammy, she asked him to come in and asked him, Sammy, why are you feeling so sad? Why do you look so sad? And then Sammy told the granny that, you know, I've been asking all my friends to come and play with me, but nobody is playing with me. Nobody wants to come and play with me. They're all busy with their own activities. They're all busy with their own stuff that they're doing. So Ali's granny asked Sammy a question. Sammy, why do you really need to have some of your friends with you to make you happy? Is it not possible for you to be happy on your own by doing something that you really love to do? Okay. And then she told him that if you get involved and if you start doing something that you love to do, and even if you're all alone doing it, you will still be happy. So what Ali's granny told Sammy to do was to look around, because they have a big garage over there. and she told him to go and look around the garage and see if there's something that he could pick up from there and do some work on. So Sammy went around the garage and found a very old radio. You see this radio on your screen now? So something like that, okay? So he picked a radio from the garage and took it home and started working on it. He started trying to repair it. And sooner or later, after a little time, he found that he was very happy when he was working on what he was interested to do, which was actually repairing the radio. And very soon the radio started working. And when the radio started working, Sammy took the radio and went back to Ali's house and handed it over to Ali, his friend, and said, "Here is a gift from me to you." Okay. So, and he had by then understood that he can actually make himself happy without the need for waiting for anybody else to make him happy. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions over here before I go and tell you what is the main habit that we are learning from this particular story. Okay. I'm going to ask a few questions, and those who want to answer, you'll need to unmute yourself and tell the answer, and then mute yourself once again so that others can also talk. Okay? Right. So here's the question. Listen to the question carefully. Okay. So whose fault was it that Sammy was bored? Was it Sammy's fault or was it his friend's fault?
Sammy.
It was Sammy's fault. It was Sammy's fault. Sammy. It was Sammy's fault. It was Sammy's fault.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sammy.
Okay, so what we will do, every time I ask a question, this is beautiful. Each one of you, you are telling the answer. And once I finish, after some time, if I raise my hand like this, can you note me? Can you look at me? If I raise my hand like this, then all of you are answering. Please stop answering. Okay, because which means we already have plenty of answers. So then I'll ask you to please stop answering, and then you can mute yourself again. Okay, so that I can continue with the story. Otherwise, we'll be spending the next half an hour only listening to one single question. Okay, so you're absolutely right. You said Sammy's fault. It was absolutely Sammy's fault that he was feeling bored, because there are, other children may be busy with what they're doing. It doesn't mean that Sammy cannot do things that he can be happy with. So it's entirely his fault. And do you actually feel bored sometimes? And when you feel bored, what do you actually do about it? So this is a question for you. If you feel bored, what do you do about it?
If I feel bored, then I play outdoor games with my siblings.
Okay, you play outdoor
If
with
I
your
feel bored, I would play outdoor game with my siblings. If I'm feeling bored, I play with my brother in home.
I play badminton.
I play outside or something else. I play alone with that toy.
So you don't have to actually wait for anybody else to make you happy. Okay, so you can be proactive. So this is the first habit. This is the very first habit of happy children. The first habit is that you are in charge, and you can be proactive and take charge of your life. And what you said is absolutely right. So if you are getting bored, you go out and play, or you do something that you love to do, so that you don't wait for somebody else to make you happy. Okay, so we're going to talk about the second story. And the second story is about a small girl called Sarah. I think we have some Sarahs in this group also. Okay, so this is a story about a small girl called Sarah. Sarah wanted to buy a gift for her friend Mariam. Okay, do any of you have a friend called Mariam?
Yes, she is my classmate. Yes, she is my classmate. His name is Sarah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so you have a friend called Sarah. So this is your friends called Mariam, and this is about Sarah and Mariam. Okay, so she wanted to buy a gift for her friend Mariam, but then she did not have enough money with her for buying the gift. So she came up with a plan. So she came up with a plan and went and spoke to her brother Ahmed. Okay, so she had a brother called Ahmed and went and spoke to him and said, Ahmed, why don't we start a lemonade shop? We'd start selling lemonade and make some money out of it so that I can buy some gift for my friend Mariam. And you can also get half of the money that I make out of this lemonade store. All right. So they went and put together a lemonade stand. They made a lot of lemonade and they started selling it to people, and they made $20 out of it. They made $20. So what Sarah did, she said, let us split the money. So I give you half. So you get half of it, that is $10, and I keep half of it, $10. And with that, I can go ahead and buy the gift for my friend, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. So what Ahmed did, Ahmed went and spent all his money. Within the next one day itself, he spent all the $20. He went and bought himself some shawarma. He went and bought himself some Snickers and some Kit Kat. And he went and bought some chips, and he went and bought some Pringles. And then he went and bought some, decided to go and watch a movie. And he went and spent all his money, and he was left with absolutely nothing more. But what Sarah did, she spent all her money very wisely and very carefully as per her plan. So she had a plan. You remember I told you in the beginning, she had a plan. How she's going to make the money, how she's going to earn the money, and how much she's going to spend, and how much she's going to keep aside for Mariam, and what is she going to buy for Mariam. She had an absolutely clear plan about what she's going to do with all of that money. Okay, so I have a few questions for you. So now at the end of the day, she has enough money to buy a gift for her friend, and her brother went and spent all his money, and he did not have any more money with him. So my question to you is, who do you think is a better planner over here, Sarah or Ahmed?
Sarah.
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 Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Raising hands, Rajeev.
Obviously, Sarah.
Any of you think that Ahmed was a better planner because he got the money and he could go and buy everything that he wanted and he could spend it?
No.
No.
Hey, come on. All I did. Wait. All I did was to go and sit in the lemonade stall. I got my $20. I went and bought all my stuff. So I'm the winner here, right? I'm Ahmed.
But but if he goes in the store and buy some food, he you said Pringles and chips, that means junk food. So it's not good to eat junk food because it's not good for your belly. Only healthy is good. So it's not as correct.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful answer. Okay, come on, everybody, give her a round of applause. Give her a clap, everybody. Yeah, she got a beautiful answer. Yeah, you eat all that junk food and you're not going to be very happy. Yeah, absolutely. So the moral, the moral of the story over here is that you begin with the end in mind. You must always have a plan. Okay, what do you want to do at the end is to buy, like in the case of Sarah, she wanted to buy a gift for her friend Mariam. So that was a clear idea.
And if we don't have a plan,
Go ahead. Tell me, if you don't have a plan.
you can buy anything. It's not good for your health.
Okay. Right. So it's always important for us to have a plan. It's important for us to begin with the end in mind. Okay. This is the second habit of happy children. Happy children always have a clear plan. Okay. For example, you want to go and score. You want to go and score very good marks in your class. Okay. So you must have a clear plan for that. What am I going to do? So maybe I'm not very good in mathematics, or maybe I'm not very good in science. So I must have a plan. What am I going to do to make sure that I get good marks in mathematics and good marks in science? So there should be a plan. According to the plan, if you actually implement the plan and you prepare in advance for the future, and then you implement your plan, you will be successful. And everybody who's successful and who are able to implement your plan, obviously you will be happy. So this is the second habit of happy children. You have a plan and begin with your end in mind. Okay. So is there anything that you guys would want to do better in your life? Have you thought about anything that you want to do better in your life?
If we don't have plan, we'll waste our money. If we don't have plan, we'll waste our money.
Absolutely, you're right. If you don't have a plan, you might waste your money. So the next story is about a boy called Jacob. Okay, so I didn't see any name called Jacob in this group, but this is about a boy called Jacob. And this boy, he studies in class in school. And one day, Jacob's teacher, she wrote 6 words on the board. Right? She wrote 6 words on the blackboard and said, we're going to have a spelling test. We're going to have a spelling test next week. and everybody must learn these 6 words. Now, the 6 words that she wrote on the board are pretty easy for guys like you, and a smart group of kids over here. And I actually see we have over 70 children over here at present. Okay, so the words that the teacher wrote on the board were play, fun, have, you, for, and drums. Okay, so the words were play, fun, have, you, for, and drum. So when Jacob heard these words and he read the words on the screen, he thought it's pretty easy, right? This this test is going to be easy for me. The words are not really very difficult. So he said it's not necessary for me to sit and start studying for it right now. So he said I'll study later on. So what Jacob did, he found a drum. He found a drum and he started playing it. And he kept playing it continuously. He kept beating the drums all the day, throughout the night, and he kept playing with the drums. And just, and every time his mother asked him to go and study for the test and prepare for the spelling test, Jacob said, Mom, it's easy for me. These words are going to be easy. I'll do very well in the test. And he did not actually study. So what happened is on the day before the test, he said, maybe I'll go and start studying now, and so that I can go back and do well in the test tomorrow. But by the time he wanted to start studying, he was already really, really tired. Okay, he was tired and he was weak and he was not in the mood for studying, because he wanted to always keep playing his drums. So he was not in the mood for studying. So he could not prepare well, and he started getting confused with all the words. And so when he went and answered the test the next day, he found out that he got only one word which was correct for him. He spelled only one word correctly. And can you imagine what that particular word might be?
Drums.
Absolutely.
Drum.
Drums.
Drums.
Correct. Right. So the word that he got right, the word that he got correct was the word drum. Okay. So that's because he was always playing with the drum. The word drum was always in his mind, and he was always thinking about drums. So it was very easy for him to go and write the word drum. But everything else, he could not score. So his teacher called him aside and said, Jacob, next time you have a test, or next time you have a homework, or next time you have an assignment, you need to prepare in advance. Okay, don't wait for the last day, and always you do work hard, and then you will get the results for what you're working on. So what he did was he went back and started studying for the next test, and he did very well in his next test, and he got all the answers correctly. So he prepared very well. So he went to the test the next day after that for the very next exam, and he was able to score very well for the next test, right?
Sir, because he did really hard work for the test, really practice.
Exactly. So that was going to be my questions. Okay. So the habit that we are talking about over here is the third habit. So we've talked about 3 habits so far, and this is the third habit. Put first things first, which means work first and play later. So whatever is important, whatever is more difficult for you to do, complete that first, and then go and relax and do things easily. So what you need to do is do not procrastinate. Okay, the word is procrastinate. It may be a new word for some of you, and it's on the slide. Okay, it's there on the screen for you. It says do not procrastinate. Procrastinate means putting off things for later, and being lazy and saying I'll do it later, not now. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure that you do the hardest of the work first. Suppose you have four or five subjects in school, and you love all 4 of them except one subject. Maybe that's difficult for you. What do we normally do? We try to say that's a subject that I will study in the end. Okay, because I don't want to do something that I don't like to do. I love to do what I like to do. Okay, we don't want to have the pain of studying for a subject that I don't love. So that's why we tend to keep the tough subjects for later and finish the easy subjects first. But what happens is when it's time for the examination, sometimes you run out of time to study. Okay, so what's important over here is put first things first. Finish off the hard work, do your work first, and then go and play, have fun, and relax. Okay, so the questions for the audience. So the first question for you is, why didn't Jacob do well in his first spelling test? Very easy question.
Because he didn't prepare.
Because he did not study properly. He did not study properly. He was just playing. He was just playing the whole day.
Playing the drums and he did not study.
He had too much self-confidence.
He did not study that
He didn't prepare for the test and was having much confidence.
he was overconfident.
Absolutely. So,
Sir, he
hey,
was overconfident.
you know what? I think you are the most amazing group of young kids that I have worked with. 70 of you, 80 of you actually, it says now. Yeah. So 80 of you sitting around the world and answering questions. And you know what? Almost 75 of you stopped talking when I lifted my hand. Okay, so you're watching and observing what I'm telling. So you're not just listening to the story. You remember what I told you when I show you the hand, please stop talking. Okay, so that I can continue with the story. And you're absolutely amazing group of children over here who most of you listened to what we said. There were a few of you who forgot about it. Okay, so next time I show my hand, remember, before Aisha ma'am comes and unmutes you, okay, before the teacher comes to the class and says, keep quiet class, instead of that, yeah, before the teacher comes and says that, we're all good kids. Okay, so you stop talking as soon as I show my hand. So watch me. Okay, so before let's not give her a chance to unmute us next time. Okay, so your answers were absolutely spot on, and I love the way that one of you said, I have so many names on the screen here and so many photos here, so I don't remember the names, but one of you said he was overconfident. Overconfident, yeah. Overconfidence is a very bad thing. Confidence is good, but sometimes overconfidence, a little bit extra, that's not good. Okay? And always put things first. First things first, and work first, and then play. So what will happen if you procrastinate? This is the next question for you. What will happen if you procrastinate and put things off till the very last minute?
We will never get to the actual destiny, and
The next work will have more work.
Succeed and achieve anything.
will not succeed.
The next day we will not be able to write the answer. Succeed or achieve anything.
We will never be able to reach to our final destiny.
Right. So the question is, why is it important to put first things first and to do the most difficult things in the beginning?
Because some things are difficult for us. If we do it first, then
Because some things might be difficult and you don't want to get stuck at the last moment.
For us, we should do first, but last we can do
One last.
Because we take time.
and we can win.
By the way, does anybody recognize this background of mine?
Yes.
Sir, it's a cartoon picture. The Simpsons.
The Simpsons cartoon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I'm actually sitting in the house of the Simpsons.
No.
No, sir.
Seriously.
It's a background.
It's a brand.
It's a background.
Okay.
it's a background.
Let's mute all of you. All of you mute yourself. I'm going ahead with the next story. Okay. So we're talking about a girl called Lily. Okay, a small girl called Lily, and she wanted to have a garden for herself. I know that some of you also have gardens in your houses. Okay, some of you have in your houses, in your backyard, in your front yard. Some of you have it on your balcony, and some of you may have it in your mind. You always wanted to have a garden, but you never got to do it. Oh, Lily actually wanted to have a garden, and so she went and asked her mother and said, "Mom, can we have a garden for me? And can I put together a small garden in our backyard?" Okay. So her mother was not very happy with the idea because, she said there's a lot of work involved in it, Lily. So if you want to have a garden, you need to actually dig first. You have to make the soil smooth. You need to put the fertilizer. You have to water it, and you have to wait for a few days, and then you have to plant your seeds in there. And once you have your seeds in there, then you have to water it again and watch for it so that it's not having too much sunshine. There's not too much water. there's not too much wind, and it's a lot of hard work to have a garden. So her mother knew that if she actually started the project of having a garden in their backyard, maybe Lily will lose interest in it after 1 or 2 days, and then it will be the mother's responsibility to take care of the garden. Okay, we all do this sometimes, right? We say we want to do something, we start something at home, we want to have an aquarium, or we want to have our pets, or we want to have a garden, and then what happens is after a few days we lose interest in it, and then the parents will have to take care of it. Yeah. So this is, her mother knew that this might happen, so she told her daughter Lily that it's a lot of hard work if you actually want to have a garden, so you need to be careful about it. Maybe you don't want to have it. Okay. But then Lily, she actually was really determined to have this garden. So she promised her mother that she will do all the gardening work. She will take care of all the work. She will make sure that she waters it, she plants the seeds, she takes care of it in the sunshine and all that stuff. And then her mother finally, she said, all right, I'll allow you to have a garden. So what she did, she got together with her friend Mary. You see in the picture that you have over here, you see Lily and her friend Mary and her mother, all of them together. They started digging up the backyard, and they started putting together a small little garden for themselves. And the next day itself, they started planting the seeds. So it was a lot of hard work, and it's not easy, you know. But sometimes the soil is very hard, and sometimes it's pretty difficult to do digging and all the hard work in the sun, especially in places like Doha and Saudi Arabia and all these places. It's very hot, you know. So it's not easy to do a lot of work, but they started working the next day. And what happened is, in a few months' time, they all, I mean, Lily did a lot of hard work. Okay, she really had to do a lot of hard work. And in a few months' time, they had a bumper crop of tomatoes and carrots. You see those beautiful tomatoes that are here on the screen? So it's all from her garden. Okay, so she was able to get a lot
Sir,
of
when we bring a tomato from a supermarket or somewhere else, it will be not good. When we grow plants in our home, it will be really good and freshy.
Why do you think so, Said? Why? Why do you say that?
Because it
Because
might
they add,
Because some
might
fruits
not
such
be
as
because they add
potatoes and
chemicals.
all are got from they have chemical and
chemicals.
fertilizers in it.
Hence that all.
It might not be fresh.
Very
Yes.
good. Yeah, your answers are very right.
Maybe they just and they have the
They
They put chemicals to make it fresh.
uh, they put chemicals to be fresh.
Absolutely, absolutely.
because
So
they
they,
chemical.
so what happens is sometimes they put chemicals to keep it fresh, and when it comes to you, it might not be fresh. It might be just polluted with the chemicals. So yes, you're right. So there may be so many reasons that the tomatoes that you buy from the shops may not be fresh and safe. But what do you do? I mean, we cannot always have gardens, right? So sometimes you have to buy it from the shop, take it home, wash it nicely. Your parents will wash it nicely. In fact, you should help them to do it. You know, this is something that I'll tell you in a few minutes from now. We really need to be helping our parents also. Do whatever possible that you can do in the house to help them also. So we can wash the fruits ourselves and make it good and fresh. And you know what happened is, when they were able to get all this beautiful tomatoes and carrots, Lily was very happy. Obviously, she's got her garden. She's got beautiful fruits growing in her gardens, and tomatoes growing in her gardens, and carrots growing in her garden. And her mother was also very happy. Why her mother was happy? Because Lily had taken responsibility. Okay, so she had taken responsibility, she had worked really hard, and she had kept her promise. So these are the three things why her mother was very happy, because she took responsibility, she worked very hard, and she kept her promise. Okay, so what's the habit that we are going to talk about over here? The fourth habit is that everybody can win. So imagine if the mother had told Lily, no, Lily, I'm not going to allow you to have a garden. Okay, there's no way that you're going to have a garden, and she stopped her daughter from having a garden, then it means that the mother, she wins, but the daughter, she's not going to be happy about it. The idea is that in our life, we should also be happy, and others should also be happy. Okay, parents should be happy, our brothers and sisters should be happy, our friends should be happy, everybody should be happy. So literally what the point over here is that everybody can win at the same time. It's not necessary that one person wins and the other person loses. So it's okay for everybody to win. So whenever you have something that you're going to do or that you're going to plan for, then you think about yourself as well as the other person, because both the person can be happy at the same time. Both parties can win at the same time. Okay. So the questions that I have for you is, why was Lily so excited about, and what did she promise her mother?
She promised
To
that
take
she
care
will
of
take
the
care of
garden.
her garden by her own, and she would take a good care of her garden.
And her mother was too.
Right. Excellent.
She
Excellent.
promised to take care of the garden.
Yes, Atia, that's just right. I don't know if that's your name or your parents' name, but all your answers are right. So she promised to take care of the garden. She worked hard. She took responsibility. So all this, so she was excited because she was going to have her garden. Okay, because she wanted to have a garden, and there was no way to do it without the permission of the mother. So it was very important for her to get her mother's permission. And when the mother permitted her, she was absolutely excited, and she promised her mother what she would do. And then she actually followed up and did what her mother had, what she had promised her mother. Okay, so it's important for us to keep ourselves happy and also make sure that our others are happy, including your parents.
Now, who here can tell us about the 4 habits very quickly, just in words? What is habit number 1?
Think
Don't eat too much.
don't be proactive.
Don't
Have
eat
a
too
plan.
proactive.
Be overconfident.
Confident.
You should not be overconfident.
Don't be
Be
overconfident.
proactive.
And we have to do
Enjoy yourself freely. Enjoy yourself freely.
Don't be overconfident.
Be proactive.
Okay, that was good. What we will do now, we finished 4 habits. To move forward, I have a small fun exercise for you. Now, can you all on your video cameras, so I can see everybody? I can see all the wonderful, beautiful.
My video's on.
Okay, great. Now, when I ask a question, because I can see you now, I want you to just raise your hand like this, okay? So you're not speaking over each other. Yes, good. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to all stand up. Stand where you're, stand up. Yes, stand. While you're standing, what I want you to do is raise your right hand. So I can see your right hand. Raise your right hand. We all know our right hands. Now, keep it down. Raise your left hand. Okay. Do we all know how to clap? Do we all clap? Do we all know how to snap? Snap, snap, snap. We all know how to snap. Okay. So now, when I say clap, you all clap. Okay? When I say snap, you all snap. Snap. Okay? Let's go. Clap. Snap. Snap. Raise your right hand. Raise your left hand. Okay. Now what we will do is we will do the opposite. Okay? So when I say clap, you have to snap. Okay? So when I say clap, you have to snap. Clap.
Ma'am,
Yes, some of you got it. So when I say clap, you have to snap. And when I say snap, you have to clap. Okay? Let's do this. Clap. Yes. Snap. Clap. Snap. Okay. You all understood this game? Now when I say up, you should go down. Okay? So when I say up, you should bend down. When I say down, you should come up. Okay? Let's do it.
okay.
Up. You all are up. Up. Yes, yes, I can see it. Yes, yes, yes. Down. Great. Now I'm going to mix the two. Okay? So when I say clap, what do we do?
Clap.
Okay. And when I say snap, what do we do?
Clap.
When I say up,
what do we do? Sit down.
when I
Now what do we do?
Stand up.
Stand up.
Okay, let's go. Clap.
Yeah.
Snap. Snap. Clap. Up. Clap. Snap. Down. Dr. Rajeev, welcome back.
Right.
Handing over your students back to you.
Okay, give me a second to share my screen again. All right. So, shall we continue with the story? I think
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Next story is about a guy called Khalid. Okay, and I'm sure there are quite a few Khalids in this group. So we're going to talk about Khalid and something that he did. Okay, so Khalid was in a really excited mood, and so he wanted to go and play with Ahmed. Okay, but when he went and met Ahmed, he saw that Ahmed was really sad, because Ahmed was sad because he had lost his football. I know there's a lot of football players in today's session over here. Okay, so when you lose your football, obviously you'll be sad because you really wanted to play and you can't get hold of your football. So what happened is, when Ahmed was upset, he told Khalid, look, I'm upset. I don't want to play. I cannot do anything else with you because I want to find my football. But when when Khalid reached Ahmed's house, he saw Sarah. Now, Sarah is the little sister of Ahmed. Ahmed has a small little sister. She's a baby sister, and her name is Sarah. Okay, and Sarah was also looking very uncomfortable. She was really, really uncomfortable and looking really sad. So Khalid went to Sarah and asked her, Sarah, what happened? Why are you looking so uncomfortable? What happened? So you know how the small babies talk sometimes. You know, it's not very clear. They talk in their own baby language. So Sarah actually said in her baby's language, me twita backward, something like that, you know. So Khalid could not understand what she was saying. But since Khalid was really interested in going and finding the football, he was about to go away from there. But what happened is, Sarah, you know, when she saw that Khalid is not listening to her and he's moving away, Sarah started crying. And when she started crying, Khalid felt really sad for her, and she went to her and took her over to Sarah's mother, who was in the next room. So she went to Sarah's mother. So Khalid took her to Sarah's mother and said, Auntie, could you see what's the problem? Because Sarah is crying and she's not, I cannot understand what she's saying. So Sarah's mother listened to her, and again, Sarah was telling her, me backward, me backward. And then her mother tried to understand what exactly is happening over there. And then she realized that, you know, Sarah was wearing a sweater. She was wearing a sweater and she was wearing it backwards. So the front of the sweater was in the back and the back was in the front. So she was actually telling, my sweater is turned backward. But of course, we could not understand it because she was telling in her baby language, and Khalid was not listening carefully. So, but her mother understood that, because, you know, mothers always, they listen to the children very carefully. They like to understand what exactly is happening. So her mother told Khalid, you know, next time you talk to somebody, especially small children or even your friends or anybody for that matter, you need to listen to them very, very carefully. You need to listen to them, not just with your ears, but also with your eyes and with your heart. So when you listen to somebody, you need to observe them. You need to watch them carefully, attentively, so that you're actually listening to them with your heart and your ears and your eyes. So that way you will be able to see the whole picture, and you will be able to understand the person clearly. So what happened is, now Sarah is happy and she started playing with them also. And then Khalid, Ahmed and Sarah, they started going and looking for the football, because the football is lost, and Ahmed is really upset about it. So they need to go and find the football. So what they did, they started going and looking for it. And then Sarah was actually giving them some directions, again in her own baby language. Okay, she was telling them where to look for it, and she had an idea where the football might be. So she was giving them an idea, and then in her baby language. But this time, both Khalid and Ahmed could understand what Sarah was telling, because they were not just listening to her with their ears, but they were listening to her with their heart and with their eyes also.
Don't unmute yourself.
Right. Okay. So we are going into the questions now. Okay. So we're going to go into a few questions. How do you think Sarah would have felt if Khalid didn't understand her? When Khalid couldn't understand what Sarah was telling, what would she have felt?
She had felt very sad. He had felt very disappointed and confused.
He will be disappointed and confused, yes.
Uncomfortable.
We have situations where sometimes people don't understand what you are saying and people don't understand you and you feel bad about it.
Yeah. She wanted to convey her message.
Go ahead with the next story, which is the sixth habit of happy children. So this story is about Khalid and his friends. You know Khalid and his friends, right? We had a few stories about them already. So they were going to play football and they were challenged by a group of children called the Bad Badgers. Okay, so they were challenged to a game of football, and Bad Badgers team actually had very strong players in their team, and Khalid and his friends knew that. So they were aware that there is going to be a lot of strong players in that team, and they were actually a little scared. Okay, so they were scared about what's going to happen in the game. And once the first half of the game started, the other team started scoring. This team, Bad Badgers, scored one goal, and then they scored the second goal, and then they got the third goal. And then Khalid and his friends are trying their level best to hit some goals as well. But whenever they hit the ball, it's either somebody's missing the pass, and when they try to shooting at the goal post, is going out, or somebody when they try to hit at the goal, the goalkeeper in the other team is saving the ball. So it was a total bad time for Khalid and his friends because the Bad Badgers team was so absolutely more powerful than them. Okay, and then what happened is when they realized that the other team is doing very well and that their team is going to fail, they started blaming one another. They started fighting with each other. So they started shouting at each other. They started calling bad names to one another. And then, they started losing the focus on the game. So once they started losing the focus on the game, what happened is they really were in a condition where they're about to lose the game. But the luckiest thing that happened for them is that it was halftime. So the referee, he blew the whistle and it was halftime. So Khalid and his friends, they got together. They came together and they said, something is not right. So we need to think about why is it that we are not in a position to win. And then they realized that, they were not focused together and they all had their individual strength because they had the team members who could shoot properly. They had team members who could dribble and run really fast and go to the other side very fast. And they had team members who could pass the ball correctly to the other people. But what was happening is that they're all blaming one another. Okay, they're all blaming one another. And this is what's leading to their situation where they were about to lose the game. So then they said, let's do something. We will not fight with one another. We will start focusing on how can we use all our strength together and how can we start going and winning against the other team. What happened over here is that Khalid and his team were initially blaming one another, so they were not winning. And then when they started focusing on the game and they started getting together, the second half of the game started, and then his team, they scored 1 goal and 2 goal and 3 goal, and then they scored the 4th goal, and then they scored the 5th goal, and the game was over, and they actually won the game in spite of the fact that they were about to lose the game in the first half. Okay, so my question to you is, this is a question time for you. Why were Khalid and his friends scared to play against the Bad Badgers?
Because they had
The team was more
Someone
powerful
was
than
very
members
Because
strong
they
and
had
than
strong
that,
teammates.
Because
and they had a strong teammates.
they can win.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
they were
So
strong.
they had better team players. But then, how did in the second half? How did Khalid and his team win?
Because they focused on the game and stopped playing
Because they
hard.
focused on the game and started playing. So they won.
they decided to do teamwork.
Team.
Okay, great. So what happened is in the
Because
second
they
part,
understood.
they started focusing, they started looking at their collective strength, and there is a word in English language. Some of you might have heard this word. It's coming on the next slide now. Okay, it's called synergize. Has anybody heard the word synergize?
No.
Okay, so it's a new
No.
word for you.
Yes.
It's a new word for you.
Yes.
Right. So basically what it means,
Yes.
what the word means is together is better. Okay. So if we all work together, we will be in a position to actually be more successful than everybody else. Okay. So this is the sixth habit of happy children. The sixth habit is that you don't have to be the best in everything. Okay, you may be good in music. There may be another friend of yours is good in arts. Maybe another friend of yours is very good in sports. And maybe even in the same sports, some of them is, say, take football, for example. One of you is very good at goalkeeping. One of you is very good in dribbling, one of you is very good in shooting towards the goal. So, it's not necessary that you have all the abilities in the world to be successful in life. All you need to do is identify what are your key strengths, what are your strengths, and then synergize, join with other people who can help you and who can actually also bring in some of their strength and put all the strength together, and your team will be the best. Okay, so this is the sixth habit of happy children. And you must understand that people will be different. Even when you go to school, sometimes some of your friends are not as capable as you. Okay, or maybe you're not as capable as some of your other friends. Maybe some of them can study more, some of them are better in studies, some of them are better in talking, some of them are better in writing stories, some of them are better in mathematics, some of them are better in music, some of them are better in talking to other people. So it depends on each one of us. So some of us are strong, some of us, but that is okay. You don't have to worry about it, and only be focusing on what are your strengths and how can you actually improve that strength.
You said that there's people that are good at something and you're good at something. Like, I'm good at striking, someone's good at goalkeeping.
Absolutely wonderful, great. So if you're good at something, you focus on that, you practice more on that, and there are other skills that maybe you want to learn something new. So you can try to learn that, especially now, during coronavirus period, we are all sitting in our house, and some of you have a lot of time, and some of you are doing some of you, yeah, some of you are doing online classes, some of you are doing your classes online because you can't go to your school. So you have plenty of time. So you need to be able to identify, is there something that I can learn? Is there some new skill that I can pick up? Is there something that and then work on it? So that will be a great thing. And so the last story that I have for you, okay, it's the seventh habit is coming up, and this is about a girl called Sophie. Okay, Sophie, she used to love reading books. I understand that when you were introducing yourself, many of you said that you also love to read books. Okay, so reading book is a great habit. Reading book is an absolutely great habit. So Sophie also loved to read books, and she used to be awake till late in the night reading the books. And even when her mother tells her to go and sleep, you know what she used to do? Like in the picture that you see over here, she used to take her book and a torchlight and go under the blanket and the bed sheet, and she used to continue reading her books. Okay, so do any of you do that? Do you read under the blankets? No,
Yes,
nobody.
sometimes.
Sir, no, I read only
Yes.
I play my video games on
Okay, some of you do. Some of you do
Sometimes
that.
I also do it.
Sometimes.
No, because sir, we can spoil our eyesight from
Yes, sir.
seeing in the dim light.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
If you read in the dark light, yes, it can spoil your eyesight. But more than that, what happened is, like in the case of Sophie, what she used to happen is that when she goes back to school in the next day, she used to be very tired in class because she didn't sleep properly in the night. She slept very late, and we had to wake up in the morning and go to school. So she could not be very energetic in class, and she was actually very tired and sleepy in school. And she was so interested in reading the books that she started stopping all her other hobbies. So she stopped playing with her friends. She stopped going out and stopped listening to music. All these things were actually affecting her. And her mother actually, she saw that Sophie is getting weaker and she's getting more tired and she's not able to study properly. So she called her one day and told her, Sophie, if you want to be if you want to be successful in life, you need to be able to balance your life. So her mother actually told her that if you want to lead a happy life, you need to be able to maintain a balance. So what is important is that you're not only doing one thing. Like, some children sit and only study, and they're only studying and they're very good in class. They're getting very good marks in their class, but they're not good in anything else. They may be they may be poor in sports. They may not be good in cultural activities. They're not good in anything else. Okay. So what happens is, after you leave school and when you go to college and when you become big people, you will realize that, you should have taken time to be able to have a proper balance in all these areas of life. Because if you're only focusing on one thing, yes, you will be good at it, but you will not be good at other things. Okay. And most successful people in life are those who have an excellent balance and they're able to do a bit of everything. Okay. So it's not that you should stop doing anything, but you should also be able to do other things. So what happened is, once Sophie's mother told her that, she started going out and playing with her friends. She started practicing her music. She started drawing. She was good at drawing, so she started drawing. She went and did a little bit of sports activities, And then she also continued to study, and she also continued to read her books. So she brought back that balance into her life, and it was so important because she started doing very well in class. So it's very important for us to have a balance in life. And this is the last habit of happy children. This is that you need to have a balance in your life and find the things that that will make you happy and follow that also. Okay. So questions for you is, why do you think Sophie was feeling tired and lethargic and dull in class?
Because she didn't sleep.
Because she did not sleep properly.
Study properly. And now sleep properly at home.
Because she didn't sleep very well in night.
And she didn't sleep
time reading in a book, especially the
She was reading a book and she was very tired.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so what happened is she was spending too much time on her books, and she was not getting good sleep in the night, so she was really very tired. So we should not do that. Okay, reading book is absolutely a good habit, but not too much. Too much of everything is too bad, right? So sometimes you love sweets, and you want to eat sweets, but when you start eating too much of sweets, you feel sick. Okay, you feel like I don't want to eat any more sweets anymore. So it's
You will get cough.
absolutely. So too much of everything is too bad. So you need to have a balance in life. So do you actually
Your
understand?
tummy will hurt.
Do you understand what I meant by balance in life?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think is balance in life, and why is it so important? Why should we have balance in life? Absolutely. To be
think
successful,
about
Successful.
more successful, you need to have a
all the
better.
things
We need balance and
that make you happy.
Exactly. Exactly. What we are going to do now is to move to the second
So
last.
that
Do any of you remember what the 7 habits are?
So who wants to answer? What are the 7 habits of happy
Can I?
kids? Yes, please, Shavi.
The first is be proactive. Second, you have a clear plan. Third is work first, then play. Fourth is everyone can win.
Great.
Sixth is
Study when your test is coming.
Okay.
If your and every friends are busy in their own work, you also do your own work.
If your small sister is telling you are not understanding, you have to understand by your eyes and your heart. Um, if you are not if you are not if you are not focusing in your match or anything, you have to focus and focus.
We should listen everybody.
Begin and end with a mind. Have a plan. Put things first. Keep balance in your life.
Ma'am, first, be proactive. Second, begin with the end in mind. Third, first work, then play. Fourth, everyone can win. That's it.
Be proactive. First things first, sharpen the saw, make a plan and go according to it. Mm, seek to understand more than to be understood. And
Great, Darshi. Yes.
Do your work first, then play, follow rules, and balance life.
Okay.
And listen carefully.
Yes, Noah.
Have a plan. Like when you're good at something, and you have like a football match after 1 day or 2 or 3. You need to practice. If you don't want to and you think you're excellent at it, don't think that you're excellent, because there's people that you didn't met that are better than you, and you need to be practiced and ready to go.
I think you guys have done exceedingly well. So these are the 7 habits of happy kids. And you know what? In a couple of days' time, we will be having this entire presentation available on YouTube. So once it is available on YouTube, if you have missed something, or if you have a friend in your school or some of your relatives or somebody who wanted to see this program but they could not join, you can always go back and check it out over there. And if you forgot about some of the points that we spoke, some of the 7 habits that we spoke about, you can always go back and see it again, so you'll remember. The more you remember, you will be able to practice it in your life. Okay, so these are the 7 habits which will be available on also on YouTube in a couple of days time. So I have a question for you. How many of you are actually on Instagram? Just raise your hands, don't say anything. Okay, so if any of you are on Instagram, you can connect with us on this, and I'm also available on Facebook. If any of your parents want to connect on it, that information is also available over there. And only one thing I have to tell you before I wrap up, it was an absolute amazing opportunity to be with each one of you and spend a lot of time. You know, you had a lot of participation and you guys were really involved in it. You're answering a lot of questions. So I hope that you really enjoyed what you saw. Did you like what you heard so far? Yeah.
Yes.
So, did you like the program? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That was an amazing journey of stories.
We enjoyed the stories and we learned the 7 habits.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeev, for your teachings.
Have fun, friends.
See you next time.
Followed any of these habits, which habit can help you? Right, Dr. Rajeev?
I think all the habits are equally important and it depends on your individual requirements. Okay. So each one of you will already be practicing some of these habits, and for some of you, certain habits may be new. Okay. And each one of them is important, but the ultimate purpose in life, okay, is that you are happy. So this is very important. How can I be happy and at the same time make sure that everybody else is also happy? So it's not just about me, it's about everybody. Because today in the world, we need people like you, children like you, to think about others also and make sure that in whatever little way you can support somebody, or in whatever little way you can help somebody, help them. Maybe there is a friend in your class who's not very good in the subject. You can help them if you're strong in that subject. Maybe you know a child who is not able to have 3 meals a day and they don't have enough money for food. Maybe you can save some of your pocket money, and with your permission of your parents, you can actually share some money with them. So it's all about what you do with what you have and what you do to make somebody else's life also better. So there is not a single habit that is most important, but all habits are important. And believe me, remember that there are not just 7 habits that make happy kids. There may be hundreds of habits that make happy kids. We just spoke about 7 of them today. Okay. So all the best to you, and just go out and be your very best.